Have you ever been in one of those "why is this happening to me" type situations? You know, something like a loved one dying, or being lost on a back road. That's the type of situation I'm in right now, except it's 100 times worse than anything you have or will ever experience. That's not an exaggeration. I love the outdoors. I'm an outdoors type of guy. You won't see me scaling sheer cliffs or go cave diving, but I'll stray from the beaten path. Something about being alone in the wild gives me a sense of peace. Anyways, I had just moved to North Carolina in a small town in the Appalachian Mountains. The Apps aren't huge like the Rocky Mountains like I had been accustomed to, but it has its own unique vibe that I appreciated. It's beautiful in the spring with a combination of trees in bloom and some still barren. I was eager to start exploring. I started my way up on a challenging hike. It was one that hikers came through somewhat often, but not one some average Joe and Nikes could complete. I've hiked in the Rockies for years after all. This shouldn't be that challenging, right? I was right. I should have chosen something a bit more difficult. I ended up getting bored and decided to trek off the path. I had some blue bands I tied around trees along my way so I could get back, so I figured it was no biggie. It had been about an hour before I decided I should head back, but then I saw something odd. There were several trees with the branches cut off. Out of curiosity, I checked it out and noticed that a large patch of the woods had no leaves as well. This was weird. I mean, there were leaves everywhere else, and who was randomly cutting down all these branches? If I had to guess, no one lived within 20 miles of here. I was starting to freak out a bit. I watched way too many horror movies, so I knew this was the time you had to book it. I did just that until it happened. When my fate of dying a gruesome death was decided, I took only about 5 steps when I suddenly felt the ground below give way. I tumbled down a steep, rocky slope that was almost like a slide. It had to have been at least 20 feet long until it gave way to a cliff, where I fell another 15 feet straight to a rocky floor. I heard a snap. Damn, it must have been my ankle. There was a sharp pain there. It was pitch black. I couldn't see anything at all. The hole I fell from was out of sight too, and it was cold. I started to panic. I screamed out, hoping someone would hear me. Maybe the people who cut those branches were still around. Okay, calm down, I said to myself. Let's figure this out. I had always been a calm and rational person. It's something you needed in the outdoors. I sat there in silence for about a minute. It was disturbingly silent. But wait, I started to hear something. All around me I heard pitter-pattering, like something was crawling. I was starting to see yellow orbs the size of peas emerge from the darkness. I remembered that I had a flashlight in my backpack. I scrambled to open it and take it out. It took me a few seconds to find it, but once I turned it on, I saw what nightmares consist of. Hundreds, no thousands of spiders. They were packed tightly in the cavern, which was about the size of a McDonald's. But were they really spiders? They were each the size of a grapefruit, and they were furry, like dog furry. They were also the darkest tone of black I'd ever seen. It was hard to get a good look because every time I shined the light on them they would scuttle away. That's when I realized the only thing stopping those creatures from swarming me was my flashlight. I shined the light at my feet, creating a 10-feet circle of safety. The creatures circled around right at the edge of the light and wouldn't come any closer. The only things I could see were what I assume were their eyes, which were the bright yellow orbs I had seen earlier. What the hell? What's going on here? Is this really happening? My mind was racing. I can't be in a situation like this, I said to myself. Stuff like this only happens in the movies. I knew it was real though. I looked down at my feet, and that's when I knew what my fate was. It wasn't my ankle that snapped. It was a bone. There were bones everywhere. I could see the skeletons of deer, small rodents, and the worst of all, a bear. These things ate an entire bear. I couldn't believe it. If you had to ask someone what the worst way to die was, this would have to be at the top. To be swarmed and devoured by thousands of giant spiders, or whatever the hell these things were. They couldn't be spiders. They were too big for the species found around here. And like I said, they were furry, and they usually don't form colonies like this, at least to my knowledge. Plus, they only had 2 eyes which glowed in the dark. They did have 8 legs though. The worst feature of all was their teeth. They were exactly like a human's. 2 big front teeth in the middle, and canines flanking them. What really threw me off was that they were as still as a rock. They were packed tightly, shoulder to shoulder, without moving a single millimeter. No sound, no movement. That's not natural, right? It was like they almost knew that my light wouldn't last forever. Silently and patiently waiting. They were right. My flashlight was running on old batteries from my TV remote. I had maybe like 4 hours of light left. Maybe if I was lucky I'd have 6. Part of me wishes that I didn't have the flashlight and I was immediately devoured. That way I would have died without knowing what was really happening. What's killing me now is the anxiety, the anticipation of what's to happen. I can only sit in this 10 feet radius of light with thousands of hungry spiders, or whatever the hell they were waiting to eat me. I remember reading about the French Revolution, when they were chopping the heads off of thousands of people. A lot of the stories of the condemned said that sitting in the prison cell while waiting to be executed was the worst part of the whole ordeal. I know how they felt now. I'd much rather have the guillotine though. For the past hour I've kept trying to call 911 while typing this story out, but I had no signal. I kept trying. This was my only hope after all. Finally I got through. I heard the ringing, and I was in tears. 911, what's your emergency? I responded shakily. Hey, I was hiking off path, and I fell down in this cavern. Can you put together a rescue team? I marked my path with blue bands. Please, I don't have much time. I understand, sir. We can put together a rescue team. It's getting dark now, and we're low on personnel, so we'll probably be able to find you tomorrow morning. Please hang in there. I don't think you understand. I was practically screaming at this point. I'm about to be eaten alive by spiders. Please, you have to send someone now. Sir, 911 is for emergencies, not prank calls. But regardless, we will send someone tomorrow. My connection was lost. Damn, I'm so stupid. Of course, if I mentioned that if spiders were going to eat me, they weren't going to believe me. This is the boonies. The cops don't really give a damn in the first place, and they deal with crackheads all the time. I lost my one sliver of hope because I panicked. I'm so dumb. I'm not sure how much time I have left. Maybe 1 or 2 more hours at this point. I calmed down a bit and was able to think a bit more clearly. Are these creatures intelligent? Did they set a trap? I mean, seriously, they covered the entrance to this pit with sticks and leaves. That's why all those branches were cut off, and that one patch of woods had no leaves. Every time something falls down here, they devour it and reset the trap. That had to be what they did, right? They're also sitting there so still, not moving at all. That's not what bugs do. Bugs, arachnids, or whatever usually move around. No chance in hell that thousands of spiders would sit still. I tried throwing some of the bones into the masses. They would methodically move out the way and then refill the gap like they had been training for it. Maybe they were like ants and used chemicals or something to communicate. The ant hypothesis was quickly proven wrong. I found out by making my biggest mistake yet. I threw the bear skull, which managed to kill one of the creatures. At first, nothing happened. The creatures nearby slowly turned towards the corpse and huddled around it. Then they let off this god-awful screeching sound. Soon the wailing spread throughout the ranks until I assume every last one of the creatures was wailing. It was terrible, like thousands of people scraping a chalkboard. Terrible. A couple of the creatures then slowly pushed the body to the back of the cavern, and the creatures in the way made space and methodically reformed their ranks. The wailing stopped, and then their eyes turned from the bright yellow to a dark red. Damn, were these things grieving for their friend? There's no way. These are bugs, insects, arachnids, or whatever the hell they are. There's no way they can feel any emotions, much less grieve. Are they going to hold a funeral or something? Damn, if these things are mad that I killed their buddy, that means they're going to absolutely tear me up. I mean, their eyes turned red. That's almost too cliche. Maybe before they saw me as food and may have given me a quick death, but now they see me as a murderer. I'm sure my death won't be painless. It's just one bad decision after another. I just had to check out the branchless trees, fall into a cavern of intelligent spiders, and kill one of their buddies. My flashlight just flickered. I don't have a lot of time left. I'm going to try and post this. Hopefully, my connection will come through one last time. The only semblance of peace I can hope for is that my story is seen. I hope that my parents will see this. There has to be more caverns like this. More caverns filled with these semi-intelligent creatures. They do a damn good job of hiding themselves. I've calmed down now, and in a way accepted my fate. I'm still scared to death, scared of these vengeful creatures swarming me and tearing me limb for limb. The only thing I can do now is wait, or maybe I should just turn my flashlight off now and be done with it. If you're reading this, don't make the same mistake I did. Stay in your cozy home. You too could be in this very situation.